Alrighty. I think it's working. Well, welcome to the 11th stream. Getting to some big numbers. Not bad. Honestly, if I zoom out, it's like you can't really see what we've done so far. Need to start working in between sessions so I can actually get some actual tangible progress and start moving on. Because this is not the only model I want to work on with these streams. Get some more exciting things going on, because ever seeing the same model every single week's kind of, I'd imagine it gets kind of old fast. Oh, hello Martin man. Always nice to see you. Coming here every single week. That's really cool. Awesome. Great to see you. And hi, I'm Mark. Welcome you as well. It's nice to see both of you. Taking time out of your day to hang out. That's really cool. So I guess this bracket right here I didn't like, so I'm just gonna get rid of that. And how is your day going, both y'all? Hope it's going well. Let's see. This roller here. Something like that. It'll get there. I am improving. Just need to move a little faster is all. Ah, great. That's good to hear. That's the good stuff. Right now it's kind of windy outside. I live in an RV, so everything's kind of rocking the boat. Imagine modeling while you're on a boat. It's kind of the vibes. Let's see. Something like that. Suppose we can add a little detail there. Yeah, I guess in the meantime, before I start working on other models, I guess I could just show the smaller stuff I've been working on every so often. Spice things up a little bit. Close. Yeah, so we're just gonna refine this right here. So, I keep talking about a prototype. Tomorrow is the day when I truly get super focused on it. I've been putzing around with it. Same with this. But it's that super focus that really things get going fast. It's a matter of flow. Something like that. Always deeper triangles. How do you have internet? Oh, over the phone. I'm using my phone and I'm streaming off, yeah. They have internet here. There's a little tower. I'm like literally parked right next to it, but then it's just not good enough for streaming. So I'm stuck using my phone. And plus I live right next to an airport, so it's like helicopters flying over every so often. Not ideal, but at least I'm by myself, no one's around. That's all you can ask for, really. You get used to it. And plus, I don't mind plane noises. It's people that kind of, like people driving by and laughing and they're drinking their beer and all that stuff. That's what kind of breaks the mood. Plane sounds, nah, that's fine. Like, I was watching some people model. A lot of them, I guess they're in India. They have thick accents. And all you hear in the background is honk, 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 beep, beep, beep. So many cars, so many things happening. Just like, wow. At least I'm not there. Could be worse. Could always be worse. So yeah. Always stay positive. And my toolbar is too deep now. Before I used to just have one, so I could have more screen space. Now I'm starting to use more plugins, so now I have more toolbars. Interesting. Which I'm figuring out it doesn't matter, honestly. When you have a 4K monitor, it's like you don't need that much space, really. Let's see. So there has to be something there, definitely. That scraper system needs a thing to level off of. Here we go. And yeah. Well, the wind died down, so it's not like I'm on a boat right now, so that's good. Something like that. Has to meet up with it right here. There we go. Yeah, not enough plugins. Oh yeah, like half of these I haven't really actually touched a whole lot. Like I know what they do, but I haven't really used them. But I know that if I were using them, I would find a use for them. Which not on this model though, because it's all kind of, the morphology doesn't really have a whole lot of fancy elements to it. But yeah, they're all kind of edge case stuff. Literally sometimes. For example, new one I'm kind of enamored with is a path copy one, where you have this. Just real quick. Make that group. Put this on the floor. And also Bezier splines. That's pretty cool. Boop, boop, boop. I like that. Fancy smancy. Because I'm so used to making custom curves, like one thing at a time, just so I have control. I guess there's no point in that whenever you can just do Bezier curves. You just start at the end. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Something like that. So there's this one called, what do you call it? Copy along curve. You just grab a component, grab a thing. You specify the distance, 200 centimeters maybe. No, let's make it 400. And yeah, and it's really fast. It's like, wow, that's pretty fancy. You can make some cool stuff with that. Do plugins only work with desktop? I'm assuming so. I've never actually used the free version, the web-based version. Like a lot of people are saying, plugin. I have read a lot of forum topics. I'm guessing it doesn't use plugins. I can't be for sure, but I mean, if you can't, then that's unfortunate. But I do have to say, plugins aren't a necessity, really. Especially, it depends on your complexity. Like, sometimes you just don't need plugins at all. Like, I'm not even using them for this, basically. The only plugin I'm using on this model specifically is this one right here, where it just kind of bevels the edge. That's it. That's all I'm using for this one. So, I guess you don't need them. Although, yeah, if you're going to do fancy stuff that involves a lot of curves, yeah, you're going to need plugins. This one is just cylinders. Squares and cylinders. So this has to... But yeah, plugins are nice. A lot of edge cases though. Like there's one that I was looking at, it's called Soap Bubble. The idea is you can make a tensile structure between two lines. For example, throw this together. Grab your lines, soap bubble right here, I think. Do that. And it does that. Which, that's pretty fancy. I have no use for it, but that's pretty cool. Because normally if I'm going to do stuff like that, I'm just going to use the Curvaloft plugin. Do my Curvaloft. Ah, won't work for this one. Because they have to be connected, I guess? I don't know. Well, something like that. Yeah, that's a very big weakness of Sketchup. I mean, yeah, it's the plugins that do a lot of that heavy lifting. Like one I've started using recently is called, what do you call it? Vertex Tools. And it's actually pretty darn impressive, I think, because it has soft deformation right here. Like you can grab stuff, specify your fall off limits, let's say a lot, and you can just do fall offs. And that's pretty powerful, I think. So SketchUp can do curves. Not like organic, fancy modeling or anything. Like, this is not a ZBrush alternative. But yeah, it can do curves. Especially if you use subdivision. Like, you just subdivide stuff. This weird thing. You can just go crazy with it. Not bad. I mean, not good, but not bad. Like, this is just kind of the stuff I was doing in 3ds Max before I had plugins. But now that I have plugins, it's like, why would I want to do anything else? Fancy smancy. But yeah, I mean, it's not it's an alternative. So yeah, I mean, whenever I'm gonna start getting to the fancy morphologies, I guess I will stick with SketchUp. Because at this rate, I'm not making like high tier, what do you call it, AAA graphics really. Like the stuff you see on ArtStation. When you open up the front page and it's kind of overwhelming, it's like, I can't make stuff like that. You don't need to sometimes. It's all in the art direction. Wait, hold on. There's gonna be something special right here. Guess we could get started on it. Like this. So yeah, I mean, sometimes you just don't need all of the above. I mean, sometimes you do though, so it's good to know these things. whenever the situation does pop up. I just prefer doing it manually. Something like that. Because the way this is going to work, there's going to be a big piece right here. And every time the gun folds upwards like that, well, that was down. This is up. Like this. This whole cavalcade right here goes like this. And that's kind of the ammo storage location. And the actual cannon will be tilted upwards like that. Kind of like that. Reloading mechanism right here. Big old cylinder right there. Not that deep. Something like that. So yeah. But yeah, we need like a sliding mechanism here. What happens, it has to have a buffer here. And the reason I got rid of this is because this is supposed to bend inwards, not outwards. And sometimes you'll have like stuff like this, or for example, like you want to put a square here, but then there's edges. Like here's an edge here. Sometimes it's best just to get rid of it like that. Because if you start using fancy plugins, you're still gonna have that edge there. It's gonna mess things up later on. Yeah. Something like that. The thing is, it has to have that thing in the middle there. So what we'll do. I made a new hotkey because I figured out before I would just copy and then paste, then try and move it into position. It's a lot better to have a hotkey for copy, paste in place, so you can just move it out. And I used to like flip by its axes, but it's a lot faster just to scale it to a negative value. Most of the time. Sometimes you do have to flip it though. Now if you go here, it does on both sides. Something. How much will this be animated? Will the smaller mechanical parts like gears and such have ambient animations? Ah, that's what I was thinking about whenever I was looking at this like a few days ago. I was looking at this like, how many bones would this have, like as an actual control points of the animated mesh? I'm thinking depends, because this will definitely be animated and physicalized. Like if you were standing right here, it would squish you. And it's moving around and doing stuff. That's animated, this is animated, this is separate. This right here, actually whenever it tilts upwards, this tilts up to compensate. and it goes up far till it hits this. Like there's a lot of animated components in there. Like for example, these ones are able to rotate on this axis, even though they probably won't need to because they're on a rail. So it's just a matter of looking around and seeing, here are the angles, but what here actually has to literally move. Like for example, this. Does this move? It's canon that it does move, but in game it's like, why does it need to? It goes like this. It's kind of a buffer for the recoil whenever the cannon's at full 45 flexions. Like that. And that kind of goes out, so you have a visual indication of it's reached the end of its rail. But would I put that in? Maybe, not sure. It'd be nice. Because I do know, brief tangent. We'll jump to what some other model real quick just to show exactly what's going on with that. For example, with this guy, the thing is he has a lot of separated armor panels. Like for example, right here. And the thing is, these actually can get blown off. Like if you hit them hard enough, those armor panels get blown off. There's one right there. And the thing is, those are all separated, physicalized components. Those will add overhead if you go crazy with them. So, it's a matter of figuring out exactly what's worth doing. In this case, it is worth it because, well, they're armor pieces, they get blown off. And also the thing is, they take damage, as in if you damage them too much, they have spring joints on them. So they're just kind of flopping around. Whenever they're damaged, you know they're about to fall off. So whenever you're moving around, they're kind of flopping around. Stuff like that. So, but then this model is yay big, it's like 50 foot tall. And this one, the monstrosity, is, I don't know how many feet tall it is. I do know it is 130 meters tall. So this would have a decent amount of mobile structures inside. Like for example, all of these pistons are telescopic. Every component is destructible. So yeah. So I guess everything basically. Since it's so large, the performance impact, that's kind of based on how big it is. So for this one, it's going to be pretty big. So all stops are off for this one. Let's see, where were we? So yeah, there'll be a lot of ambient animations. For example, this toroidal pattern stuff actually spins counterclockwise whenever it's doing its movement. And there's also a lot of steam elements. Little puffs of steam coming out the side, like right here, there'll be a lot of steam. A lot of secondary animation. For example, on the foot here, these help steer it. And this is a boost mechanism here. Whenever it's slowing down or braking or going fast, this goes up and down. This has to telescope with it. I haven't put that mechanic in there yet. Something like that. So whenever it's full thrust, that's what it kind of looks like. Also, same with the front here. This whole thing in the front folds upwards whenever it's braking. Which I haven't put that in yet, though. Stuff like that. Quite a bit. I think what we'll do, and this is where one of the players can hang out, kind of the engine room. Scotty, beam us up to full power. Stuff like that. So we'll put a lift here. Thing is, it can't telescope. I mean, it can't intersect with this right here. That'll do. We best we modified this first. I think we'll put a curve. Gonna need to be a more curved though. Something like that. Now we can do this. Good. And yeah, that's the reason why there's so much detail down here, is because the player will be able to get down in here. Where's my crash test dummy? There he is. Get over it. Get in there. It's a bit bigger than I was thinking. Yeah, this you have to be careful here though, because there is that whole rotary system here, and that is like literally right there. Don't get your hands caught in that. So the thing is, these have to go up, not side. Yeah, I think we'll do it. And this bar has to go through here. Therefore, these cannot exist. Something like that. Close. You can cheat a little. You can just say this is not quite as big as it is. Something like that. I was talking about these mechanics and all that, because how on earth would the game engine be able to handle all this? There's too many things going on. Ah, true. But it is going to be scalable, which The thing is, usually when people make models, okay, I'm just kind of talking the way I view it. No actual industry experience, so correct me if I'm wrong. But when people make models, it's kind of just to fill in space, kind of. Kind of like, what do you call it? Where was I going with this? In other words, whenever people make a game, they make the models, they make the stuff, and they focus, like, specifically, the thing is just kind of a mannequin. It's like, that's, the model is the model, the gameplay does whatever it wants. As in, the model is separated from the gameplay, kind of. Like, for example, here's a robot guy, basically, where he performs, he's animated like a robot, but he does everything a human would do, basically. So where I'm going with this is, these ones are what drives the gameplay. Like, this is the gameplay. Like, the whole context of this, because this is an actual place, not just a object. This is a place. With that in mind, this is optimized in a similar way as places are. Whenever in engine, places are generalized when you get farther away through LODs and also just the physics of it. So the way this is going to work is there's going to actually be very basic geometrical representations of this machine and different sub-functions that perform actions that are much simpler than what the base model is. For example, it wouldn't have these fancy animations, it wouldn't have all this extra stuff when it's across the map. And everything is generalized in such a way where the sub-functions are very specific to this machine. Optimal for me? No. Optimal for the engine? More so. That makes no sense, honestly, I don't think. I can't explain it. It'll work. I think. There's so many tests I have to do to actually make sure that it will work. Because what I'm kind of hinging on is optimization where the thing is actually there's separate actual, what do you call it, representations of the machine. Like this is LOD1 basically. And the thing is with models, LODs, that's LOD1. Oh, this is LOD1, make it unique. For example, that's LOD1, LOD2, and then LOD3. Kind of lowers its geometrical complexity. That's what normal models do. For this one, I got to take it a step further and actually generalize its physics as well. Because there's a lot of stuff going on here. Just the way it functions, the way it moves, the way it does things. So there's going to be a lot of blending between physics and kinematics. It's a lot more complicated than your traditional physics-based machine. What's going on here? Oh. So it will be a high-end game, like you will have to have your good processor, your good whatever, your good graphics card. But it'll be in such a way where it does run well if you do have the system to support it. Like it won't have hitches, it won't have lags, it won't have a lot of that stuff. Because game engines nowadays can handle a lot of polygons. It's not the polygons I'm worried about. Like they have character models that have like 100,000 polys in them. It's all about level of detail with the meshes. So it's not the polys, it's the physics. Because the thing is, this will be entirely destructible. So it'll generalize certain things, like for example, if you had a geocannon shell just pop out the whole front end. The thing is, rather than physicalizing every individual component, what it'll do is actually clump the components together. For example, this is a one, this is one, this is one, and just convexify those components. Like there will be different sub-levels of physics simulation. So whenever things get too intense, like the game will figure out that, hold on, there's a lot of physics calculations going on here. So it'll actually jump up in level from LODs. And it'll be dynamic in such a way where it takes that into account when it notices the frame rate is lagging. And just dynamically make it so everything is less intensive. Because the thing is, this blends between object and location. Like whenever it's in LOD1 state, everything is physicalized, everything is dynamic. That is its location state. Once it goes into object state is whenever things get a lot more less detail. Like, for example, if this thing was collapsing around you, you wouldn't be concerned about if your cup of joe on the desk was still there or not. You'd be concerned about the whole entire everything is falling into the ground. So it won't be physicalizing little things like that. Yeah, just different optimization generalizations. Too specific to this machine. It's not a scalable thing to do with other... Like, you can't actually create a machine and then expect it to work in the same way. Like, that's why I'm not really focusing on customizable machines right now. Because the sub-functions would not be able to compensate for that. Like, you can't predict what the player will do. Okay, but now we're getting to the theoretical stuff. I did a lot of theoretical experimenting, figure out if the player could make customizable machines, what would he do with them? And I figured out you can't compensate for it. There's too many variables involved. Clear as mud, probably. They say if you can't explain something simply, then you probably don't know as much about it as you think. Because I've only done very basic tests of optimization on this thing, and I have a very rough idea of the complication it would involve. I'm confident it will work, but if it does work, it'll be very specific for this machine and not an efficient system to work with other machines. Like, for example, whenever I start making the other mobile super destroyers, they won't have similar physics, what do you call it, subsets of it. Like, this will have multiple physics subsets. It wouldn't be worth making that kind of stuff for other machines. So this will be kind of a special, this is a location as well. That's all theoretical stuff, though. So, long story short, not sure. Long-winded thing for that. But I am confident, though, because I have done some stress tests. I did drop this in. I put in 5 of these things. The game did not stutter. It's not the polygons, it's going to be the physics. And the cool thing about physics is, it can be as complicated as you need it to be. Like the model, it's like, if you make it too low poly, it's going to look ugly. With the physics, if you make it imprecise and very basic, no one's going to care as long as it's fun. So that's why I'm confident it'll work out. Anyway, I'll know a lot more once I start getting into that. Because that's not an ideal answer, really. That's gonna take some research. But yeah, I have put a lot of thought into making machines like this. Yeah, definitely the physics. I'd imagine it'll be a mix of approaches. Like, it won't all just be physicalized. Some things will be animated in such a way. It comes to a point where you start hiring people. Ah! Hold on, let me turn this down. Yes, actually. So my plan is I'm gonna make keyframes. This is a keyframe. Like, you know how when you animate stuff, you make the keyframe and it interpolates between stuff? Well, that's what I'm gonna do for this. I'm gonna make everything as I see what I want in the game. And it's very basic, I mean not basic, but as one thing. Like one tank, one super destroyer, one geocannon, one massive machine, one game mode, one story arc, few characters. And once I have that in place, it'll just be plugging away on specific things from then on. Like, I'll know exactly what has to go into the game at that point. And that's whenever I'll start looking around for people that are more skilled than I am. Because then I can just give them the concept and then they can make the model. And then focus on the gameplay itself. But that won't be for a little while. I still have to make all these systems. Like, if I'm going to quantify it, what has to happen is, I'll write this down. There's the, actually I'm not even going to write it down, I'm just going to say, I already told you. Let's see. There's going to be the super destroyers, the mobile super destroyers, the geocannons. There will be light age vehicles. There will be some air vehicles. There will be some, what do you call them? Like, I know what vehicles are going to be in the game. And I know how to make them. But the thing is, it'd probably be better if someone else, I offloaded the modeling to someone else. So yeah, I'm gonna make the keyframes. It's gonna be a little while before I start looking around for people. And that's kind of, what do you call it? Nerve-wracking for me, because I don't know what I'll be looking for in a person. So I just don't know what to look for with someone. Like, professional, obviously, but do I go for the high tier guys? Do I go for the scrappy but unproven people? Not sure. Because I'm not used to that kind of stuff yet. Being an actual leader. Have to get more organized for that. Like I said, it's always that flow kind of state whenever I get a flow going. And yeah, and looking for people. Like, I would start looking for people now, but there's a lot of unknowns still. Like, I don't know a lot of stuff, like how things are going to work. Specifically, like artificial intelligence, pathfinding. Like, I want to know how everything works specifically, and what exactly will go in the game before actually branching out. And the thing about that is like, why can't you just hire someone to figure that out for you? Well, I don't know where to look for that. Because I want to have full control. I need to know where the project is going before I can actually give a direction for other people to as well, you know? I think. Still too many unknowns. And here's another thing. Like, I can't just go around asking people for help. Here's an example. Like, I need like an animator, like a character animator. I can't just go up to someone and say, "Hey, can you start animating something for me?" Because the thing is, I have to know what animations I would need from it, because the system is going to be very specialized. Like, this is not going to be a plug and play kind of game. It's like with Unreal assets or anything like that. Everything will be specialized. For example, this animation in this game will have blend states, and it'll interpolate between actions. Like, have you seen the game Overgrowth? Like, animations like that, procedural animation. There's a cool little video on that, which I was kind of like, wow, we need that. And I thought it through a lot. Like, that's not just something I picked up and thought it was cool. Like, I'm going to need that because there's going to be a lot of characters that need animating. And if I had that system in place, because everything will be physicalized, kind of needs a system like that where everything can be kind of accounted for. Because physics will play a huge part in this. For example, if you run up to a robot and it smacks you across the map, you're going to be tumbling all over the place. It won't be like GTA levels of physicalization, but it'll have its own little flair. Not quite as advanced as GTA. But yeah, so I can't just go up to people and say, "Can you animate this?" because I don't actually know what they should be animating. Once I know the blend states and the actual system behind it, I will know exactly what needs to happen there. And it'll just be plugging away once I have those keyframes in there. And that requires effort. That's one thing, but also organization. I need to be organized enough to do that. And the cool thing about all this is it'll start moving pretty fast once things do start get going. Because, for example, I'm just kind of whatevering right now. Just kind of whatever this, whatever that. This is not a cohesive, like, straightforward attempt at creating a complex system. This is just kind of twiddling your thumbs until you figure it out, basically, kind of stuff. Which I'm not just talking this model. I mean, yeah, this model as well, but yeah, just the whole system in general. The entire game itself. Is it better to split your model into several components? Can you have too many components? Well, yeah, I mean, let's see. Depends on how many components you're talking about. Like, for example, if you made like several hundred components that look kind of similar, yeah, that's a problem. You don't want that. But if they're all unique, doesn't matter if you have like a few thousand of them, it doesn't matter. That's actually better. You want things to be in components. It's always better to split things into components. Not even just for optimization as well. Like if I were to explode this model and make it all base geometry, like my frame rate would like and everything would go really slow. It would be bad. Like it's not just for working with, it's frame rate. And yeah, having groups and stuff makes it a lot easier, much more better to do stuff because you can move things around without sticking geometry. Like for example, if this was exploded, it would drag a lot of stuff with it. So yeah, it's always best to have things in components. And it's a lot of times it's best just to make them on the fly. Like say you needed something right here, just grab this, make a component, and then just work from there. It's always good to have that to a hotkey. So you can just move it around and do your stuff with it. So it's always best to have everything in components. Like, if I had geometry laying around in a base model, I would get kind of OCD about it, be like, why is this not in a component? I don't like that. Not a good thing to do. So yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good to keep things in components. Let's see, let's take a step back here. Let's unwind those gears a little bit. And yeah, if you have a lot of components, things will get pretty crazy. But that's really nothing to worry about. It's the same amount of geometry, it's just organized. Actually, it's better because if you have instanced components, basically this is how much is actually going on. Because it just kind of renders the other one. That's where the optimization happens. So yeah. Let's see. Let me gather my thoughts here. Went to a tirade there. Need to stay more focused. Looks good. Now, so if we have a component inside another component, this is the way to separate the components. Aha! Let's see. So if we have this is a component. We go inside, make a component. Get rid of that. So the best way to do that is just to open up the component and grab that and cut it and paste it outside. And now they're separated. And the thing is to keep it in the same spot you paste in place. As an edit, paste in place. So now they're separated. That's how you do that. The thing is, if you had a bunch of components in there, for example, if you had, say you had a bunch of them, I guess just do the same thing. You just select them individually and then you cut paste them. And that works. Or what you can do is go inside there and make sure this is another nested component and then just explode it. Now they're all separated. So yeah. I think that's the way to do it. Yeah, and then there's a difference, like components are instanced. For example, everything I do here is done there. But if you don't want that, you can make it a group. There's two different types of sets. if you make it a group, it's never going to be instanced. Like it's its own thing, kind of. Which, for me, I don't bother with that, because I can just right-click it, middle-click it for me, and just make it unique. And it's its own component now. Yeah, like you can make them unique. Like they'll show up here in the side here. And all this right here. And yeah, you can't have too many components. Like you could have thousands upon thousands, it wouldn't matter at all. And you can purge the ones you're not using with, I think it's window model info. And then go to statistics and purge unused. And then all the ones you're not using will just go away. So yeah, you can't have too many components. Let's see, what was I doing? Oh, I know. What we need to do is we have to go here. Make sure your faces have a certain amount of edges. Like if you use the circle tool, you type in how many edges you have. It shows up in the bottom right. There we go. And for this I did Control-Shift to unsmooth these. Like this. I think we'll do that the amount of times. Sometimes it's best just to make something a component if you're going to use it a lot. For example, this right here can be a component. It's always best to work with a lot of components. You can never have too many. So then whenever you change stuff, figure out it's not what you wanted, you could always mess it up. Something like that. And a lot of times whenever you have split components like this, this won't be a circle anymore. It's actually a semicircle. So if you try and do the offset tool, it goes like that. You have to use the circle tool again. And here's another trick. You can go to your previous view with this button. Like if you messed up your view. Sometimes whenever I get stuck in stuff like this, I'm like, I don't want to zoom all the way through this. Click that button and you're good. What's going on here? Don't do that. There. Yeah, and that's another thing. Whenever I first started using Sketchup, I found it really annoying. Whenever I'm trying to do stuff, I'm going right here and then suddenly I get inside something and I have to zoom a lot just to get out of it. It's like, so much zooming. So you can orbit out of it, that helps. I figured out it's just best to go to your previous view. And if all else fails, you can always click this button that's next to it. Zoom extents. It puts you outside. Sometimes you gotta do that if you get stuck in everything. Yeah, I'm still kind of. Yeah. Anyway. I guess a brief tangent. get some more steam going on this pretty soon. This is what I was working on a few days ago. Tangents are nice. So, my D&D people, Dungeons and Dragons, my friends were like, hey, can you make the house? I was like, okay. So, sped run it. This took 4 days. There we go. I think it's nice. It's not a pretty house, but it's a good learning experience to actually make some small models. I was thinking about your question the other day, whether I like small models or large models. I'm actually kind of thinking maybe I like just small models. Just straight up, that's the answer. Because this was a lot of fun. Like, I modeled a bunch of little stuff. Like that, and that, and that, and that, and all that stuff. And grabbed a few things from the warehouse. Like, that was from the warehouse, that was too. And it was just fun. So yeah. I think I should do small models more often. Have some more fun with it, because this beast thing is getting kind of stale, honestly. I don't really care. But the thing is, I need to get momentum on it is the problem. And 1 hour a week isn't going to get a whole lot of momentum. Yeah. That's pretty nice. So, where this came from was my friend was like, hey, can you make this? And it was from, let's see. Let me pull that up. He gave me Sims screenshots. Work projects. Where is work projects? There. Right about 3 more seconds. Here we go. Drag this in. Like, he just gave me Sim screenshots. He's like, can you make this? And I was like, okay. So I just looked at that stuff and I was like, I can make that. You can actually see the polys in it. Wasn't so hard. It was fun, actually. That's really fun whenever you get something you can see, you don't have to guess on. Like, I'm always guessing all the time. It was a nice change of pace to actually look at something and just make it. And then get crazy with it when you wanted to. So I think that's what I should do more of. Yeah. And this I just picked up from somewhere, but then I met... It used to be like a, what do you call it, a donkey? Turned into a dragon. Yeah, not bad. Was fun. So yeah, there's that. I need to take things less seriously, I think. The cold, harsh stuff is kind of getting to me. Cold and harsh. Edgy and white and just... Need to lighten up a little bit sometimes. Yeah. And also I'm doing a new thing. After I made that D&D stuff, I was like, you know what? If I can't do small models every day, I think I'll just do small drawings every day. See how that works. So for the whole month of March, there's this cool thing called March of Robots. You make a robot for every day. So I drew I'm going to draw a robot every day. That's one. Today is the 4th, so I owe 2 today. And that is the 2nd. Not a good picture, but you get the gist. So yeah, I'll draw a robot every day. That'll be pretty fun. I wish I could make a model every day. I was just about to. I was reaching for it. Like, for example... Let's see... Like right here. I was just about to start modeling one every day. And I was just kind of like, well, it's not really worth it. Yeah, it's a cozy looking house. I mean, I could do all that. I could do all these details. It's just, is it worth it? Not sure. It might be. If I can make it instance components, make it things reusable, like, for example, not specialized. Because the thing is, if I have enough of a library of this morphology, every time I see a specific object, I can say, I have a piece for that. And I could just grab something and just throw it in. It'll just be basically just kit bashing. That's an interesting thought. Different workflows. And just figuring out what works. Not sure yet. Speaking of which, I mean, if we're gonna stay on this tangent, I guess show this off. Made this a week ago. This will be the gun you use in the game, or one of the guns. This will be the heavy hitter, your rocket launcher kinda. Your shoulder goes here, your hand goes here. This is your scope. And this is your, basically kind of a rocket launcher, but it's more of a cannon, handheld cannon. The idea is it goes on, you can shoot, has cylinders inside, like this. And there's 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. They have 3 shots. Using this mode, you can shoot all 3 at once. But if you do this, you can grab your hands on it, twist it 180, and now the way you hold it is like this. Like, for example, this would be your arms right here. And now it is in machine gun mode. Rapid fire. It shoots 1, 2, 3 in rapid succession. And the scope turns into a place you put your arm. So yeah. Funny stuff. That'll be the heavy hitter. Anyway, uses the same mechanism as the ones on this machine. Actually, not quite. These are mass drivers, these are not blast cannons. Anyway, tangent over. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the name of the stream is Work on the Beast. Sometimes it's hard to muster the creative energy to actually work on it. Like, I've had one of the streams kind of went in that direction. Yeah, thank you. It'll be pretty nice. It'll be pretty cool when you're in game and then you flip it over and do your machine gun mode. All the recoil from that. Be very nice. But yeah, just working on this thing. Sometimes you're just not in the mood for this kind of morphology and you want to try something new. This is the same thing every time. So, let's see. The actual fun part, when things will actually start picking up, is whenever we get into the cannon and start making the mechanics for that, and that's whenever things will actually get fun again. For now, we get kind of lose steam pretty fast. So yeah, I have an answer to your question. The small models are more fun. I mean, sometimes you're in the mood for this though. It's just a matter of what you're in the mood for. I don't know what this is for. This goes away. Do a stream where I just show off a bunch of projects and models. That's an interesting idea. I mean, I'm not sure if I would, as I don't know if it's worth a stream, but I could do a video maybe. But yeah, I could do that. It's an interesting idea because I have so many models. I could just, like, there's a lot of details you can't see in a still image, that the ones I post. Like, there's so many things. Like, you can't post an image like this and see all the details. So a lot of stuff you just can't actually see. You know what? I guess it's worth the tangent. Since we're already so off topic, off track. This is what it looks like to run around in this. Let's see. Has to load up. So this is one of the geocannons. This one is called Recreant. This one actually folds down into this crater system. Here we go. Geocannon Recreant. Open this up. Yeah, this is one of my off days. I need to make it more regular where I actually have the steam to work on this stuff. Here we go. This is Geocannon Recreant. The texture is very low resolution. This was just a test, basically. I guess this would how it would feel whenever you're on these machines and they're moving around, they're doing their stuff. The thing is, you'll be able, it's low gravity planet, so you can fly around and do stuff. You can go on top of things. And yeah, it's just, there'll be a lot of large machines. There'll be like a dozen geocannons and a few of these, a few of that. They won't be nearly as complex as the Beast. Beast is special. But yeah, and they'll get there. Yeah. Which I have this on somewhere else, I think. Oop. Yeah, the texture is terrible. And there's a lot of little problems with it, but it'll get there. Making this destructible is going to be a can of worms. I'm not sure how to approach this specific model, because everything's very specific to this model. We'll figure that out. And yeah, I'm starting to think, instead of customizable geocannons, they'll just be kind of monolithic and you choose different ones. Like there'll be one called Tungusta, there'll be one called... what do you call it? I have a whole list of them. Stalwart, Vigil, Rosethorn, Halo. Well, yeah, just running around. That'd be fun to run around these models. This one's messy, but it gets the idea. And yeah, oh, nice frame rate. Well, there was some stutters here and there. That's because I'm streaming. Sometimes it'll be like, yeah, but yeah, frame rate's not bad. It can handle this stuff pretty well. What I'm worried about is whenever things get crazy, whenever the shells start flying around and pieces start getting blown off, that's when things will start getting intense. But we'll get that very soon. Anyway, there's that. One of many. So yeah. And making those geocannons, that'll be a lot faster because they'll be smaller models and I can focus on them a lot more. Because this is starting to get taxing. As in right now. Like, sometimes the mood will pop up and like, hey, I want to work on this now. And it gets go right back into it like I never left. Not one of those days, I'm afraid. Things will get better. Not sure what this stream is anymore. Actually, it's always been like this, actually. That's just what it is, I suppose. No Debbie Downers here. Yep. There we go. Atmospheric, yep. That's the vibe I'm going for. There'll be a lot of cool big stuff. Like big, huge canyons and gigantic caves and different places you can hang out. Like, for example, like right here, just like this huge thing. A lot of big stuff. That's what I'm kind of going for here, is gigantism, where everything is big. You can jump off a cliff and drop for a few miles, stuff like that. But then the gravity's low enough that you survive it. Fun things like that. What's going on right here? That can't happen. It'll get there. Oh, glad you enjoyed it. Yeah. That's good to hear, because I wasn't sure. Because a lot of times I'm watching other people's streams, I watch it for a few minutes and I get kind of bored. It's like, why would I want to watch someone model something? So that's kind of what I'm apprehensive about. It's like, who would actually want to sit through this? Maybe I just need to shake it up more? But yeah, that's good to hear. I suppose what I should be doing is showing off more rather than explaining, because I do a lot of explaining. Like, I answer a question, I just drone on and on about something you can't exactly follow. So I guess we need more context. Like, you can actually see what's going on. You actually can have a visual representation of what I'm talking about. Talk is cheap. Showing is more informative. And yeah, giving off SketchUp tips is nice. That's a requisite. I like doing that. Let's see. There's gonna have to be a wheel right here. Which, yeah, I don't think I'll be going for too much longer. Like, normally 1 hour is the minimum, I think. But no, the stream will keep going and going and going until this guy is done. And then we'll think about something else to do. The explaining is interesting and the modeling is quite relaxing. Huh. Well, thank you very much. Yeah. It's one of those days where I doubt myself kind of thing. But thank you for the reinforcement. It will get better. Have more fun with it. It's not one of those days because I think the reason why I'm in this funk is because it's windy outside. That doesn't seem like a lot. But whenever you're on a boat and you're trying to do stuff, it's kind of like, why do I live here kind of thing? Hard to explain. It will get better. Yeah, I guess it's just finding the tempo. The creative flow. But yeah, that's good. Good to hear. Everyone has their off days. And that is fine. As long as we're moving. I have to draw 2 robots today. Trying to think. What would you think would be a cool idea for a robot? Trying to think of something. A nice robot to draw. Let's see. Something like that. Playlist, I'm starting to grow. Ah, yeah, I think, yeah. I'll throw that together after this stream. Maybe put it in the comments or something. Yeah, I'll put all the music I have. I've been just kind of playing the same things over and over again because I can't really find other ones that might be applicable. I have a lot of things I like, but then it doesn't quite match what I'm modeling. Yeah, I'll link that. It's gonna take some soul searching because a lot of these things are really obscure and old, kind of. Like this one I'm listening to right now is from SimCity 4. A lot of them are from games. Yeah, you're welcome. Get some good jams in there. I think I'll kind of expand it a little bit more. How many things we're listening to. I have a lot of old stuff, but for some reason our DRM protected. Like the Windows won't actually play them. But I know for a fact that I own them legit, so it's like, what's going on with that? So I guess I'll go back to my old computer that I have laying around, boot that up, and get those re-recorded so they can actually play properly. And get some good jams and some more stuff in there. Really old stuff that's kind of obscure. Which I'm sure big, yeah, YouTube is pretty kind of big on that. Like a lot of this stuff is like, oh, copy strike this, copy strike that. It's like, well, I'm not monetizing on any of this, so I don't really care. Good music is a necessity. And yeah, a lot of this stuff I can't actually make without music. Like, sometimes you just need music in the background playing when you're making stuff. I always have music playing. Which is kind of quiet right now. There we go. Yeah. Music for the soul. I like that. Just got to go all the way in. Like this. Suppose it doesn't need to have this open. And this one's from Time Splitters, also a game. I'll link it all. gonna be another one right here. And I keep these ones from being actual instanced per side, as in bilateral. It's easier to work with them while they're not bilateral whenever they're actual cylinders. So whenever you're trying to do offsetting, they're not actually semicircles. You can just go like that all the time. It's best to keep them non-bilateral. For example, here you can't actually make these proper. Can't do that. Extra dimensional or fractal thing? Interesting. Not sure. Extra dimensional. How would you draw that? Extra dimensional. That is interesting. Fractal is pretty cool. I like that idea. I like both ideas. Yeah, fractal maybe. That would make sense, since these robots do kind of grow themselves. They would have some fractal patterns on them. Yeah, that's a good idea. Because a lot of things in real life, nature, do follow fractal patterns. And get some actual, yeah, some, what do you call it, repeating patterns in there. You know, honestly, I'm starting to think my art style is fractal, in a way. Because a lot of this stuff, if you isolated it, like, you can't actually tell how big it actually is. For example, like, if I zoomed in, like, this is very similar to, like, larger things. Like, if you abstracted this right here, like, it looks very similar in morphology, both zoomed in and zoomed out. So you could say this is fractal in a way. I mean, not like in the strict sense of it, but kind of like that. And the thing about it is, a lot of times I'll have an idea for a robot, and I go to make it, and it ends up being entirely not that same robot. Because the art style is very kind of exploratory and random. So a lot of times, if I see that something's not working out, it's not the way I want it to go, I'll just turn it into something else. Like, that's kind of where this one came from. Like, it started here, this was its own vehicle right here, then it became just the foot of it. For example, with this robot right here, a similar thing happened. It was just going to be this right here, just the arm, and it kind of branched off to here. And from then on, it's like, well, it'd make more sense if it had another section here. And it just kept growing. And that's how it goes. Same with the other one. Like, it started off just right here. It was just kind of its own thing. But then it kind of grew arms and it grew a head, and it's like, okay, now that's what it is now. And then the legs happened specifically to emulate that. Like, I just don't know what it is before I start off. So I mean, I could go for fractal, but it'll end up being like not fractal. So yeah, that's one caveat about it. More Battletech or like Gundam? Well, I am a Battletech fan, but I do like the Gundam look though. I like both of them. If I were to go with the actual feel of a mech, I'd go for the BattleTech, kind of the heavier, kind of more realistic approach. But here's the thing, this game will have both, like, and a mix of the two. Like the one I keep showing a lot, the other one, that's kind of a mix of Gundam and BattleTech. That's gonna be kind of the flavor of it, because I do like both. But it won't be like Gundam where everything is huge and just kind of moves like it's not huge. If things is huge, big things are gonna move pretty slow. Like it's not gonna be like Pacific Rim where everything's like moving like crazy. It's gonna be very realistic, kind of. But yeah, I kind of prefer BattleTech in that regard because it's more realistic. I say more realistic, it's not realistic at all, but it's a little bit more so. But I have a Gundam figure, one of those plastic model kits. I have one sitting right here. So I am a fan of both morphologies. Yeah, the Titans of... Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, if I were to make a mech, that would be the one. Kind of a mix. And the thing is, the mechs in this game will be a mix. And they'll be kind of their own thing as well. They'll be realistic, but have a lot of capabilities as well. And they'll have their own flair, like they'll have their own cool movement systems, kind of. It'll be its own thing. They'll have a lot of inspirations too, though. And I was looking up YouTube videos, I was like, well, what is more realistic? And I see one that says Titanfall 2s are the most realistic. I'm kind of sitting here thinking, well, I disagree with that. As in, they have shield systems and they have different things about them. Like, if I had a Titanfall 2 mech in real life, I would not take it to an actual battlefield because that's RPG bait right there. You're so tall. Like, the only thing protecting you is that shield mechanism. Like, what can a Titanfall mech do that a tank can't? A lot of things. But in an actual modern battlefield, it might not work. At least it would work, but it would have to have a lot of those caveats of the advanced shield tech and all that stuff. Well, yeah, it would be a force to reckon with too, though. If it were immune to those ATGMs. And yeah, that's a lot of stuff I have to think about. Like, what can a mech do that a tank cannot? And that's kind of why I have to figure out uses for the mechs. Because I want it, so these ones, they don't exist just for no reason. Like, they can do things tanks cannot. Yeah, it's just finding that, the reason of their existence, kind of. What's going on here? Can I have that? Oh yeah, we're trying to do this. And yeah, those ATGMs. I guess there's a lot of enabling going on with these mechs as well in this game because they won't actually be being shot at. There's just robots that they have to go up and kind of kill. So there's a lot of give there. They don't have to mess around so much with shot trapping and stuff like that, and actual ballistic protection. Because there's a lot of shot traps. Like, if you went toe-to-toe with this thing with modern technology, this would lose pretty darn fast, actually. Planes would just go overhead and just bomb the heck out of it. And it has no armor. A couple of 3,000-pound bombs and this thing is toast. This wouldn't work in a real battlefield. But that's not why it exists. It's to fight giant, slow-moving robots. so that's not a big deal. Oh, I know the problem. The whole reason of this mess is because we are not in a bilateral component. I mean, we are in a bilateral component. So what we'll do is we shall make it unbilateral. And yeah. So is this just figuring out what the mech is used for? And there'll be some nice ones. Like there'll be some Gundam style ones that can do a lot of cool stuff, but that'll be later tiers. Whenever you actually do need them. Like the robots are moving really fast. And just different things like that. The first mechs will be very lumbering, kind of Battletech style. Is it Unreal an easy to learn game engine? Kind of. Like you can go into Unreal and like in just a week or so you can make some interesting cool stuff. Like the rendering engine is very easy to use. You can just drag and drop stuff in there and it looks good immediately. Making the gameplay for it, not so much. Because blueprints are kind of a tough thing to get into. It's not coding. You have to learn all the ins and outs of it. So making complex things is going to take a while. But yeah, Unreal is pretty good just to make things look nice. Really fast. So I would say it's kind of in the middle ground of, depends on what you're using it for. I think it's pretty easy to learn. It's kind of like that easy to learn, hard to master kind of stuff. But the problem is it's not well documented. Like Unity has much better documentation. With Unreal it's kind of like trial and error kind of stuff. Which I thrive on, but some people might not, so. And yeah, it's kind of not, it's a mess, honestly. Documentation's not good. But yeah, I think it's nice. I mean, I'm not a fanboy either, but that's what I use. Yeah, so easy to learn, hard to master. Is there a benefit to using C++? Yes, there is. C++ is superior to blueprints in optimization. You can do a lot more calls with C++. And the thing about blueprints is they are C++. It's just in a way that it's kind of a modular network where you can see what's going on with those systems. Every function in blueprints is C++ based. It's just kind of a mediary between the two, visual learning and the C++ itself. Because I'm a visual kind of guy, so that's why I use blueprints. But if you knew how to code, then yeah, you'd be using C++. And because the things I'm doing are very like experimental, I want to say. Like all of this stuff is unique in some way. Like this is not the kind of regular mechanics you'll see in most games. So there's a lot of experimenting that goes on with it. And Blueprints is great for that because you can prototype stuff right then and there. But for people that actually know what they're doing and have a very specific goal in mind, then C++ is what you do. It's the way you go. So yeah, I think if you knew how to do C++, I'd say that's the best way to do it. But if you're like me and you can't actually mess around with syntax and you prefer visual, then Blueprints is good too. my opinion, that's objective I was talking about. Subjectively, I think blueprints are better because you can see what's going on. Like with C++, you have granular control, but you don't have the whole picture. With blueprints, you can plan things at a grander scale because everything is kind of laid out in front of you. And people say it's hard to manage those messy things with the spaghetti and all that stuff, which I like it. I like complex things. That's why I'm working on this. I just like to see wires everywhere. Gets my brain going. Words on a screen do not. That's why I would never be able to use C++. I can't think with that. Because I grow things organically. C++ is if you knew what you were doing, kind of. Anyway. Well, once again, I could be going all day. I certainly could. But it is an hour 45 minutes in. Guess we'll call it there. Very slow progress. We did that. We did that. We did that. We did this. But yeah. It will get better. When things hit the fan, they'll really hit the fan. And I'm not just even hoping that either, I know for sure it'll happen. It happened 4 days ago, actually. With all those models I just made. Once you get into a flow, you really get into a flow. Just need to replicate that. Anyway. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I have a lot of doubts sometimes. Sometimes I don't. But yeah, it's good to hear that. Thanks for being around. Not sure how many people actually watch this, but it's good knowing that someone does. And yeah, I guess that'll do for now. It'll get there. Just have to imagine it moving, shooting, doing all of its cool stuff. Get the momentum for it. Imagine it finished. Now that would be something to see. Anyway. That'll do. Thanks for being around. And yeah, good luck to everyone's endeavors. And you have a good day too, Martin, man. And see y'all later.